So step one, what we just did, step one was to identify the notes that go with the song. And the notes that we've established that go with the song are C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, and B. And then C sharp, one octave up. So now step two is all about, okay, let's establish what major scale this song is using. So a major scale is a specific type of scale in the Western music system. It's called a diatonic scale, and diatonic means there are 7 notes. Now that's different from, say, a chromatic scale. There's all kinds of scales, and another type of scale is a chromatic scale. So a chromatic scale is just when we play just all the keys. So even C, C sharp, D. Okay. So that's a chromatic scale where you're basically playing each successive half step. These are called half steps, or some people refer to them as semitones. I'm going to use the term half step in this video tutorial. And if you're not familiar with this, let me go ahead and explain it. Basically, the distance between 2 notes is known as an interval, okay? And between any 2 notes on the keyboard, it's a half step. So C to C sharp is a half step, C sharp to D is a half step, D to D sharp is a half step, D sharp to E is a half step, E to F is a half step, and so on, all the way up and down, okay? Now, if I skip a half step, I end up with what's called a whole step. So from C to D is a whole step. It's basically 2 half steps make a whole. That's the way you think about it. So if I go from C to D, that's a whole step. D to E, that's a whole step. E to F is a half step. E to F sharp is a whole step. Okay? F sharp to G sharp is a whole step. G sharp to A sharp is a whole step. A sharp to B is a half step. A sharp to C is a whole step. Okay? Now, a major scale is a specific sequence or ordering of these whole steps and half steps. And the way it works is if we just look at the C major scale. I'll start with the C major scale. So C major scale starts on C. Then there's a whole step to D, followed by a whole step to E. So just watch what I'm playing up here. Okay. So starting on C, D, whole step, E is a whole step, E to F is a half step, F to G, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So the sequence for any major scale is you start with the first note, which is also referred to as the tonic, the first note in the scale. Then you go up a whole step, up a whole step, up a half step, up a whole step, up a whole step, up a whole step, up a half step. So it's starting one more time, starting from C, and we'll just go through it. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That's a major scale. It doesn't matter where I start, as long as I keep that sequence of whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. As long as I play that sequence, I will have a major scale. I can randomly pick any note. Let's say G. So I'll start on G. If I start on G and I go up a whole step, then a whole step, then a half step, then a whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, I end up with the G major scale. So just to play through that real quick. So it's G. Okay. I can start on E. If I start on E and I want to play an E major scale, then I start with E, go up a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Okay? And that's it. That's what a major scale is comprised of. Now, the reason that I go through this process is I want to understand the notes that a song is using. I want to understand the scale that the song is using, and for me, I want to understand the mode, musical mode, and musical mode corresponds to what the tonal center is of a song, and I'll get to that in step 3. Now, in order to arrange what the next step, now that I've explained what a major scale is, what I want to do is arrange these notes that I've now determined that this particular clip is using. I want to take these notes and arrange them into that sequence of whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And that will tell me what the major scale is for this particular clip. So what I found through experimentation and kind of developing this process is the easiest way to do this is to determine where these half steps are. Now, the half step in this that we've laid out right now with these notes, there's a half step here between this C sharp and the D, and there's a half step here between the what's this? This is the G sharp and the A. Now, what this means is if I play the major scale again, I ended on the C, 1 octave higher from where I started. So I started here, I ended here. That last, the note that I played before the C was the B, and that's that last half step. So that last half step up can help me determine which scale it is that I'm using, because it's basically the C scale, C major scale. So I look at these half steps and I say, all right, well, it could be I'm going up to the D, so it could be a D major scale, or this half step I'm going up from G sharp to B, so it's G sharp to A, so it's possible that this is an A major scale. So I could have a D major scale or an A major scale. I don't know which one it is yet. I'm just going through the thought process of determining, okay, which one is it? It's either going to end with this half step sequence, or the scale is going to end with this half step sequence. In order to determine which one it is, I have to actually play the scale. I have to play both of those scales and see which one fits. Fits the major scale sequence of whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And let me demonstrate that now. So if I assume that this is the D major scale, then I would start on D, and I would play the next note, which would be a whole step, which would give me an E, and that's an E there, so that, so far so good. It matches. So D, E. A whole step up from E is an F sharp, so I would play that. Okay, that's right so far. Then I would do a half step, which is a G, but I've determined that G doesn't work with this song, so it can't be the D major scale. So then I go over and say, all right, let me look at this half step and say, all right, well, it must be an A major scale, so let me confirm that by playing the A major scale. So I would start on A, go up a whole step, which is a B. So now I'm playing this note B, which is, except I'm one octave lower. Playing a B works, so it goes from A, up a whole step. Up a whole step would be C sharp, which we have a note there, so C sharp is good. Then we would go to a half step, which is D, which works. Then a whole step. We have the the E. Then a whole step up to F sharp. Another whole step, G sharp. And then a half step, A. So that fit the major scale sequence of whole step, half, whole step, half. So let me start that again just to demonstrate it. Start with A. You can watch this keyboard up here just to confirm it. So if I go A, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And those are the notes that we mapped out in this MIDI clip just by playing by ear to understand what notes this song was using. So this song is using the A major scale. Now, we're still not done yet. So what we know so far is that we know the notes that this song is using are the same notes that belong to the A major scale.